do some introduction about course. The first lecture must be entertaining. Okay? Okay? What I'm trying to play you is about what is the information overload. Okay? So when you have to avoid as developing some sort of interface or product or information design, when you have to avoid is information overload. Okay? So too many information. Okay? If you have too many information, it might happen. Okay?
Each little Billy. Billy wasn't always like this. He used to be sharp, witty, like you and me. But then something happened. Billy joined the workforce. And he's not alone. As we speak, business people everywhere are battling a mysterious psychoneurological condition. One that can only be described as disturbing. Donna was Employee of the Month just last month. It now seems so long ago. 6 months after Sarah got her job, she started taking her smartphone into the bathroom with her. 6 months after that, she forgot where the bathroom was. They all suffer from iOS, Information Overload Syndrome. iOS affects millions of people across the country. A normal human brain can retain enormous amounts of information. But a business person's brain is attacked by 281 exabytes of quote-unquote pertinent information every year.
Exabytes?
That's 18 zeros worth of emails, attachments, presentations, voicemails, thought starters, FYIs, and caveats. And it's growing 30% a year. To make room for this new information, the brain is forced to delete all the old data it spent a lifetime compiling. So the very information meant to inform us is actually making us stupid. First, everyday sights and sounds begin to feel unfamiliar. Then muscle memory is affected.
Hey Ed, how are you?
Sorry. Finally, survival skills disappear. iOS is highly contagious. In a matter of days, entire companies can fall victim. Be forewarned. The following image may be unsettling.
Hey Tom, come here.
You may be asking yourself, what can I do to help little Billy live a happier, more mentally balanced life? The answer is nothing. Billy is 5 years away from being vested in his retirement plan. He's not going anywhere.
Okay, so that's it about it.
He'll be dumped in a box of rocks before you know it. But you can save yourself. Won't you please help yourself? Go to helpios.com and make this a better world for yourself.
Okay, that's about the video clips about information overload. That is, exaggeration about the information overload. But the point is, we have too many information. Okay, too many. So you have to use the mobile phone, and when you're walking on the street, there are heaps of banners and placards, and even large display in the top of the building. All the information coming through your brain. Okay, so you have to process it. Like sometimes, or many times you're just filtering out. But if there are too many information, you might be wrong to make a decision. So there are many accidents is based on the human's wrong decisions, such as 3 Mile Island in New York, New Jersey, and the recently Fukushima. The major point about the Fukushima disaster comes from the earthquake, but one of the decision making was wrong. That is also comes from the human errors. Okay, but human errors is not comes from the humans, the fragile. It's kind of information was wrong. So that's why people are too much information and too much, it's a priority on the wrong information. In that case, many people make a wrong decision. That is why I'm trying to introduce you about how we can help them make a more reasonable the amount of information to them. So that's what we want to learn from our course throughout the semester. The next slide might be more interesting about, we are not simply information design. It's one day if you are understanding about the human information process, you probably make a new product for the socio-technical system. Okay, like a new types of design, like iTunes, or total new product, how we can make it. If you want to make a new product, you have to understand how humans are processing information. Okay, so one of the next example might be more interesting for you guys, which I found from another video clip. Hope this one is working. Again, that from Reuters.
29-year-old Aya Tsukioka has never had to fear for her safety on the streets of Tokyo. But she thinks anything could happen, so she stays vigilant. A female fashion designer, Tsukioka had been looking into how to make clothes that also protect women. She came up with a special skirt that, when unfolded, turns into a life-size vending machine behind which the wearer can hide. In Tokyo's urban landscape, many just pass by Tsukioka's disguise without noticing the trick, let alone the fact somebody's hiding behind it.
How did this happen? So why people couldn't recognize her anti-mugging dress? Why it happens? Because other display, look at that, there are heaps of other vending machines in the next one, so that people is not pay attention to in particular types of the vending machine. They just catch it as one of the vending machine. If you're looking at that, you've probably noticed that this one is something strange vending machine, but people does not pay attention to that information, isn't it? Okay, that is why the attention is important. Human information processing, if I'm looking at him, even though I can see this person, I'm not intentionally processing these particular people because I'm looking at him. Okay, that is kind of attention. Attention is directional sometimes. Of course, it's auditory attention, doesn't have any direction, but visual attention has some limited resources. Right? If I'm looking at him, I'm not filtering, I'm not looking at the other person. So in that case, if we understand how humans are processed all sorts of stimuli from the world, you can make something strange but something useful product. I'm not saying this one is something useful product, but I mean, idea about this one is people doesn't recognize this one is something different vending machine. So it works for especially that purpose. Okay. Okay, so that is what I want to show, that how we can use the cognitive psychology aspect into product design. We will use these kinds of many examples to let you understand. So that is what I'm saying about information overload syndrome, and your job as information designers from the industrial engineering department is helping people not to be overwhelmed by the information overload. So has to make a critical decision making. So this critical decision making happens in this example. Okay, what is a critical decision making? You like 나가수, 나는 가수다. Okay, so that is kind of competition by the professional singer in Sunday night. So which I like quite good. So what I analyzed, probably you can find on my slide, is I analyzed the performance of the 나가수. Okay, depending on their order of performance and their final outcome. Okay, when you look at the bottom, this table of the bottom, this one is their performance order, and then that is the rank. Okay, when they perform the last, they mostly win the race. Okay, the reason why this one is Tversky, the one of the economist who won the Nobel Prize in 2002 using this recency effect from the psychology, is people's decision making is based on their last information, the latest information. They decide, okay, their performance measuring or assessment or evaluation based on their last performance. Okay, that happens to me as well. So when you're marking your midterm exam, Okay, first time are pretty much rigorous. Okay, say not good. Okay, but I mean when you go in middle of that, I'm just really fed up to read your 80 students marking. So I'm a little bit generous, getting more generous. So at the end, I'm just give all the good credit for the last person. So to avoid these kinds of things happens, I have to double marking. So I'm twice marking it. So that, okay, so kind of compromising it. So this kind of primacy effect or recency effect is normally happens in decision making. So if you want to make a really good decision making, right? So you have to understand your bias, innate bias, such as, do you know why people cannot swim? We have to learn to swim, right? But other animals can run and can swim without running. Okay, why we can't do it? Do you know why? Because we are working with the two legs. So they intentionally, instinctively in the water, they're trying to stand up. Okay? So that is kind of human is always using some bias the decision making. So that if you are going into the manager level, you have to block this biased information. Okay? Because that is intrinsic way, okay? That is instinctive decision making. So that you have to make a certain system to avoid these kinds of biased decision making. Probably the psychology can explain or can find some answers, okay, to helping you make a good decision. So that is, you can read it from our course website, that is, you saw it. And then major things about what I'm trying to say is that is first chapter of our course textbook, chapter 1. Chapter 1 explaining about the little bit history about cognitive psychology and how the psychology moving from behaviorism into cognitivism. Okay, these two philosophical debate is big issue in psychology. So we can be understood by the behavior, but cognitive psychology doesn't say it. So that the basic history is covered in chapter 1. You can read it. That is major topics. Okay, so what I'm trying to give you some introduction about the chapter 1 is why the cognitive psychology started, why we have to study it. So one of the greatest thing is why the psychology happens, cognitive psychology happens, is to developing artificial intelligence. Do you know artificial intelligence, right? Okay, all the computing system, robot, Astro Boy, okay? In Korean is atom, right? Atom is intelligence, human intelligence. The computer scientist's dream is make a human-like agent. We can't make it. So far, never successful. Because we don't know human yet much. Okay? So that's why step by step, we are getting closer to understand the human. If you fully understand how people can process information, we can make it. We can make it happen. But we don't know yet much. So that is the basic motivation about to make artificial intelligence. Simon and Newell, and Newell as well, is he trying to make some kind of deductive reasoning. So I can explain the week 3 about the deductive reasoning is based on the artificial intelligence. So that he modeling it, how people make a decision using knowledge. So he made the artificial intelligence program. When we give us some input to the program, they can make a decision. Not human decision, it's computer decision. Okay, rule-based system. That is first the AI logic. So that AI logic is copied our cognitive psychology aspect. He is a Simon. Okay? Okay, so a couple of examples. So that is our almost last slide of today's lecture. So major things of cognitive psychology is being implied in many different things. Say educational psychology. That's why I'm studying mobile learning and game-based learning. Okay? And clinical psychology and forensic psychology, CSI. Okay? So we've been used. Okay? And then even economics. So nowadays is, I can explain later on week 3, how we can use cognitive psychology in understanding the behavior in economy. Trading, exchange, okay, exchange trading, the bond, the purchasing, stock market, we can explain with the psychological aspect. So example, I'm just mentioned about survival. 나는 가수다. And then now the experimental economics is Tversky and what is the Kahneman is economist, as well as they are developing decision theory. That covers in next year decision theory, next semester 2012. So example is this one. Okay. Okay. Probably no one can remember what is the information behind, but when you do, okay, and that is much easier, isn't it? Isn't it? The same number, this one and this one. So that's why we're using some text keypad in your phone. Okay? So this one is much easier than remembering the previous one. So that is how you visualize the information. That is helping people. Okay? 0800 Pizza Hut, much easier to remember, isn't it? Rather than this one, 74992488. Isn't it? So we try to learn and try to explain some of the aspects, okay, using these kinds of example. Forensic psychology, so CSI, they are using cognitive psychology term. For example, this one is a really famous experiment in 1974. Loftus is made an experiment. How humans' decision making is really flawed, wrong. Say like, so they had recruited many participants and showed a video clip of car crashing. Okay? So for example, I'm just a video playing and you are my participant. Okay? And then when I ask you, first question, about how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other. And then they just write down their perceptive speed, such as 75. Okay? And if the question is like that, okay, only changes is word, smashed, collide, bumped, hit, contact. If I ask different question using only change in the verb, okay, their response is quite different. So when I ask, right, smash it, they are expecting their car speed is much higher than just contact it. Depending on your question, people's answer in different ways. So that kinds of witness theory in forensic psychology is using that kinds of information, say witness information might be wrong or flawed based on their reinterpretation. They are not just saying what they see because they forget it, but they just remaking in their brain to tell you, believing that that is true. So the policemen or some other people, prosecutors, are using these kinds of forensic psychology or cognitive psychological aspect to, interpret the witness information. Okay. So that is probably I can explain week 10 about how the other implication of psychology can be used in educational one. The idea about the self-determination theory is a major topic for our organizational psychology, self-determination theory, motivation, reason. I think last one, this one is the last slide, and linguistics are using it, the cognitive psychology. So, okay, when I played video clip, okay, so this one is kind of simple experiment with you, okay? When I play this video clip, you have to close your eye, okay? Don't open your eyes, okay? Close your eyes, and then at the end, tell me what you heard, okay? Close your eye first time, and the second time you have to open it, okay? Close your eyes. Okay, close it, close it.
Ba 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 ba.
Okay, one more time.
Ba 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 ba.
Okay, so when you heard.
Ba ba.
Okay, open your eyes,
Ba
and then tell me when you heard. Dada? Baba? Okay, so now is open your eyes.
ba 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 ba.
Huh?
ba, 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 ba.
Can you hear the same sound or different sound? Huh? So only difference is you close the eye, right? The reason why? I don't know. But it probably say, some people interpret this one is, the auditory information is not simply auditory information. We may need some visual information supporting our auditory information. Okay, that's why if you close your eye, you filter out visual information, so only you can use the auditory information. But that information, but when you open your eyes, two information comes in, is mouse moving, so that interpret in different ways. Okay? Multimedia. When you design multimedia, right? So many of the, it's iPhone or many of the applications is now multimedia, visual and audio at the same time. But when you make these kinds of information, you have to be very careful. Okay? So that is probably academic, it's inspiration, but that interpret to you, that give you some kind of implication about visual and audio. Which way? And the another one is, when you hear two conflicting information, one from your eye, one from your ears, which one you believe? So for example, like this one. This one is not visual information, but like that. Okay? If you have these kinds of icon, okay, in your iPhone, it looks like a message, right? But the label is phone. What do you want to believe?
Image.
Image? Oh, I don't know. Do some experiment. So you can make this one and then survey with as many as people what they choose. Okay? So that could be a really interesting experiment. And then this information can goes into mobile manufacturer when they design it. Okay? So why? What ways is best? Okay, so back to the original example, when you have a visual information at the same time audio information, such as visual information is no fire, but sound is fire, okay, like a siren. So what do you want to believe? You never see fire, any flame, never. But you can hear some sort of sirens. Which one do you want to believe? It's not want to believe. Say like, which one is more dominant? Visual is more dominant, right? So in that case, people make a wrong decision. If they cannot see the flame, they believe, oh, that is false alarm. But actually, that could be a real alarm. So but humans' bias is they believe the visual information more important thing, even though that is not. In most cases, right, but in some cases, they can make a wrong decision based on the wrong visual dominance. Okay, so that is what we have to discuss throughout this course. So then this one is kind of example to make you entertain. So see you next week with reading chapter 1. So yeah, chapter 1. Okay, next topic will be chapter 1, all of them. Okay, so you can free to go then.